right, Greg, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. What's up?
Welcome to my LinkedIn Live ad hoc show. How's it going?
Awesome. It's going great. How are you?
So Greg and I were on the phone. Greg's actually in our corporate office in Minneapolis, which I don't even remember what that place looks like.
Looks like this.
Yeah. So, you know, we've got this is our mothership, our hub of where we're working all of our centralized services for the company. And so the LinkedIn Live show is not about that. Greg and I were on the phone a few minutes ago, and we found that when we have these interesting conversations, it's better to record them and just go live and do it at the time, because it's not scripted, it's not practice. And we've been having this conversation, and it's something that I started talking about on the podcast that went out this week about due diligence.
Right.
Look, our business is selling portfolios of homes as part of our business. And we run into this a lot where, you know, there are investors out there that will pay a premium for a portfolio of tenanted homes that are institutional quality. We're having this disconnect with sellers who say, hey, the homes are in great condition. And buyers are saying, okay, great. If they're in perfect condition, we'll buy them with no deferred maintenance.
How about show me? Yeah.
Yeah, sure. And then we get into the deal and the whole thing blows up because, lo and behold, the homes are not in that condition. Now, it's okay that they're not. In fact, it's totally okay.
Yeah, they are.
They
I
are
mean,
what
the
they are.
observation I made a couple of minutes ago, Noel, is that it's an amazing thing. So we've been in the business of SFR portfolio sales since 2014, when we actually launched that for the first time. So I think we've probably seen more of these opportunities than anybody in the business. And it's almost a universal thing that owners of SFR who realize when they go to sell that they actually didn't know that there isn't really a liquid marketplace to bring these things to, or they come to that realization. Early on, that was definitely the case. People who were like, you know, they accumulated these houses. It was a great thing. It performed well. Now they want to sell. And lo and behold, you don't just plug that in. You go to talk to realtors. They say, put them on the MLS one at a time vacant, which means dismantling a performing portfolio. You go to commercial brokers. They say, huh? Right? They have no idea what to do with these things. So we specialized. But it's a really unfortunate reality that even after all these years, sellers are their own worst enemies. If they had the ability to put their buyer hat on for a second, they would realize that the way they're packaging and the way they're forcing us to package such limited information on their portfolios is killing the marketability of the portfolio. So it is common that they say, I'll give you 14 pictures on a 60-unit portfolio. It's common they want to give you pictures, if they do, of when they renovated the house, and there's no date on it. So it could be 2012.
Right.
Right, exactly. They don't want to go and disturb their tenants. So it's like, you know, I want to sell this portfolio of properties. There aren't many options of who to go to. The people that I do go to tell me, you need to put some transparency on this. All right, you got to put transparency. You should inspect every property. Send inspectors in. Yes, it's the cost of doing business. If you don't send inspectors in, you want to sell the portfolio, you're going to get a deep discount. You're going to sell it for a discount. Or you're going to break it up, sell it on the MLS and do it the hard way, and it's going to cost you a lot more in friction costs. But the shocking thing is the unwillingness of owners to be able to put that buyer hat on and say, what would I think as a professional SFR buyer about a package like this that looks like a tape of junky foreclosure, crappy houses? I mean, they don't want to put the energy in, and they hamstring us. And so we've actually taken the position where we're not going to take listings anymore that aren't well packaged and transparent with current pictures, ideally inspections, because deals are falling apart before the closing like crazy. And then actually the reason why we started doing this, Noel, is that it reminded me that this thing that's on fire right now that you're right in the middle of is the build to rent trend, and how every major buyer is willing to say, look, I'd rather buy brand new houses because at least I understand the condition. I'm going to pay up for them. I'm going to hopefully balance that out with great rents and very much in demand properties on the other side of that. But there's a connection between SFR sellers being unwilling to actually give a buyer a good visibility on what they're trying to sell, and the buyers being like, we have buyers that won't even look at a portfolio anymore because it takes them 2 days to underwrite the damn thing. And if the owner's like, well, here's a tape, and you know, Renters Warehouse has a great display and valuations and everything else, but without current inspections, they're basically going out fighting with one hand tied behind their back, and then they want the best possible price. And it's almost like, you know, what are you going to find behind curtain number 3? It's like
Exactly.
a freaking game show.
Well, and it's a credibility issue with us even. So we start to
Yeah.
lose our credibility. And look, if you're a seller, asking the buyer to spend all this money on due diligence and then ask for a price reduction of something they don't know about, many of them just walk away. They say, you know what? I saw 5 of these homes. They're not what you said they are. I'm walking away from this. Or they're asking for a discount that does not match up with the actual cost to repair the houses. So
Yep.
if they go in and go and look, each house, these 5 houses need 10 grand and these only need, 5 or 3, or they need nothing. They're asking for, in this case, where we're dealing with today, it was a $500,000 reduction in price. Probably won't even cost $100,000 to fix the whole portfolio. But without that lack of information, they just start lowballing the offer because they don't know what they're going to get into.
Penny wise, pound foolish. And what's, anyway, so we're walking away from listings going forward that we can't sell. And I don't care how great the owner tells us they are, and sometimes the owners don't know, right? So they haven't been inside the houses in a while. If they have, it's been somebody on their property management staff. It hasn't been them. So they don't have a great understanding of what they're selling themselves. But it breaks my heart because we built this whole business around trying to help these folks that have these beautiful collections of houses to find a buyer for them. But in a way, they're disrespecting the process and they're disrespecting the buyers. And if they just took a moment to say, let me pretend that I'm a buyer looking to buy a portfolio, and would I even entertain this thing? If I had already spent 100 man hours of my life underwriting portfolios that ended up being substantially worse condition than what the seller represented, wasted my time, do I even want to put a day into this thing? And the answer is no. And it's actually, what it's causing us to do is to rethink how much energy we're going to spend in portfolio brokerage. Because until the sellers start to realize that, hey, tell you what, go back to selling them on the MLS. You have 50 properties, have a nice 3-year period, selling these houses on the MLS, where you're going to be spending money on every one of them. You're going to find out the condition.
It's
will.
Death by 1,000 cuts.
It's a miserable outcome. And I think that a lot of sellers have to go through that, go back to the way it was before, like us and 2 other companies started focusing on trying to sell portfolios. But I'm getting fed up with it. I'm focused on the build to rent, as are you. And I'm focused on MLS acquisitions because, look, take 25% off the price of your properties and then sell them in an opaque package and you're fine.
Yeah, right.
But if you want great pricing, then you got to polish that thing up.
Yeah,
if you want it in the best light. Yeah.
If you want institutional level pricing, you need to have institutional level due diligence at a minimum, right? And even the condition is one thing. If you're saying you want, people to be pushing a 6 and below net cap rate, the houses need to have no deferred maintenance of an institutional level, meaning, for example, gutters on the houses. All the institutions put gutters on all of their houses. They consider it a hazard not to have gutters, or driveways, or, for example, and this is something that blows me away, and this isn't a pitch about our property management, but we manage a 20,000 plus homes, and we do inspections every single time a tenant moves in and moves out.
With video.
With a video. That done right there. It's all done. There, if you don't have a couple of things, and this is something that we should be documenting now, and I don't know if we do, age of the mechanicals. Real simple. Number one question, one of the biggest issues that comes in is you've got a hot water heater that's 30 years old in an HVAC system that's 30 years old. That's a huge expense. And
yeah, dude, and think about this. You know the message. And what's amazing is how often we're told by a seller, I don't have it. We say, hey, can you give us a 12-month rolling P&L? And I'll try to pull it together. Can you give us records on all the repairs you've done? Oh, I don't have that. Why would you want to admit that to a buyer, right? If you're not keeping track of it, you're not doing it. That's what that screams.
Red flags.
We're talking about people that are professional, that hold a lot of properties, that are very experienced, that are serious business people. So I don't believe they don't have it. I believe they don't feel like pulling it together. And what they don't understand, they're wearing a sign around their neck saying, I take shitty care of my properties. If I'm saying, I don't even know what roofs I put on. Yeah, I did all the kitchens. Well, what kind of materials did you put in?
Did you get permits? Maybe. Okay.
Yeah. The answer is they don't feel like providing it. So we're just walking away from the industry and only working with those clients. I mean, I'm setting that policy now. I know you're on board. Once and for all, we're just not going to take any listings from now on that aren't fully transparent because our reputation's gotten damaged, and we're not doing anybody any favors by telling the world, hey, here's an owner who says the property's in great condition, but he didn't keep any receipts. Nonsense. Of course they did.
Yeah, because they wrote it all off. Well, yeah,
if you're going to try to sell your portfolio in a couple of years, start keeping receipts.
Yeah, and please, I talk to a lot of people, and it's the same thing. People call me because we bought property management companies, and they call me and say, what do I need to do to prepare my business to be sold? And it's the same answer. I give the same answer as I would to somebody who's selling a portfolio. You need to have all the data. You need to know about your business. This is a business, and we're talking about millions of dollars. We're talking about guys who.
That's a great analogy. That's a great analogy. Hey, I want to sell my business. What's your sales? It's about X million. It's about X million.
Right.
So tell me about your KPIs.
Condition of your business.
I make $100,000 a month.
Yep.
That's kind of a round number.
It's no different. And for everyone out there that has a property management company managing their properties, we find this all the time. We dealt with the deal today. They don't want to call the property manager, or they call them and the property manager goes, we don't have that. Well, we'll get it, because they should have that all documented. And if you own a portfolio, know the age of your mechanical, because that helps things right away. If you can provide a buyer and say, look, here's the age of all the mechanicals, the roofs are redone here, and then we're going to get the interior pictures or whatever it is. I mean, it's all
right, bro, I got to jump.
It doesn't have to be rocket science.
This was good, Al.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Greg. Have fun in your meeting that's coming up.
Thank you.
All right, and we'll talk to you later.